I gotta get some gas. So it's pretty good. I've actually set myself up kind of a schedule to well, what I try to do is I try to maintain the chain, you know, as best I can. You know, I mean, outside of the oil for the engine, you know, maintaining the chain on a chain driven motorcycle is probably towards the top, if not the top, you know, again after the oil, on you know, maintaining your motorcycle, making sure that it's clean and, you know, it's gonna last for a long time. You know, the chain is the final drive to the wheel, so, you know, the better the chain is, the better your bike is going to perform, better gas mileage you're going to get, and so on. So I try to maintain the chain. What I do is I clean it and then lube it, and then for every 500 miles, and then I just lube the chain only every 250. So I kind of alternate there. So I do a lube, and I need to get gas, but it looks pretty full. So I lube the chain, or I clean the chain, lube it, and then just lube it. Then I clean it and lube it, and then just lube it, and so on and so forth, kind of alternating like that. And so far it's worked pretty well. Now this is interesting. That place was packed, but this place is totally empty. Why would that be, I wonder? So it's starting to get towards summer, and the heat's rising. You know, but the other thing with that is, you know, as summer starts, unfortunately, you start to get a bunch of bugs and, you know, insects and stuff that, you know, are coming out of the I don't know, wherever they come from, and end up getting splattered on the motorcycle and making the motorcycle a lot dirtier than normal. Just normal wear and tear of the road, and they're kind of, you know, disgusting little bugs. Again, it gets stuck on everywhere, and, you know, they dry out and all that stuff. So, you know, one thing that I know you can do is you can, if you have some kind of bugs or something that are really kind of caked on, you know, a lot of these bugs have hard shells, and, you know, you can think nature, but those hard shells are, you know, very dangerous to paint and finish, and even, you know, your plastics. So when you have that kind of stuff on your motorcycle, what you can do, instead of just immediately trying to scrape it all off or rub it off, which can actually, you know, scratch parts of your bike, if you just get a towel and wet the towel and make sure it's got a nice, you know, nice amount of water or, you know, liquid on it, you know, you can just put it on top of wherever you have the bugs, just and kind of just moisten, you know, whatever the bug carcass is. I know it sounds kind of gross, but you know, just moisten it a little bit, and then it'll be, you know, one, easier to clean off, and two, it's not gonna, well, it'll minimize the chances of it scratching your motorcycle. So I had a couple of those on my windshield, so I just kind of, you know, soak the rag in water, soapy water, and then I just put the towel on top of it, just kind of, you know, wet it down a little bit and kind of get it moistened up, and then it was much easier to wipe off and clean up. It is hot today. Let's see, what does it say? 88 degrees. You know, the one thing about the motorcycle is that you know, it's you know, getting the right gear is a little bit difficult sometimes, because depending on the type of riding you're doing, it can vastly affect the type of gear that you want to use to make yourself comfortable. So, you know, as an obvious example, when you're riding on the freeway, you get much more airflow than you do, you know, riding around town. So, you know, if you're riding around town, you know, doing, you know, I don't know, 25, 35, 45, something around there, you can get away with a lot less gear or heavy clothes. I mean, I don't know, I'm an advocate of wearing protective gear as much as possible. I don't, you know, do it all the time. You know, if I'm just going to a real quick 5-minute thing to the store or something, then, you know, I might just throw on a sweatshirt or something. Actually, though, I've got a couple of motorcycle specific pants that I wear, so I will always wear those typically. But outside of that, you know, sometimes I'll just throw on a long sleeve sweatshirt or something, and, you know, use my gloves, my helmet, and everything, and that'll be fine. But if you know, I notice sometimes when I wear that, if I go on the freeway, that sometimes is not quite adequate, and I actually get I don't get like cold, super cold, well, depending on the weather, but, you know, I can get a little bit colder, and then it's, you know, it's a little uncomfortable. So, you know, what I like to do is, or sometimes what I have to do is just kind of think about what type of riding I'm doing. Okay, so I just got some gas. Back on the road. You know, I gotta tell you, obviously I don't need to tell anybody that rides a motorcycle, but gas is so much easier on a motorcycle. The actual filling up is not easier, and only because, you know, you gotta manually hold into that little hole, and a lot of times you gotta, you know, push down in order to activate it. But the real problem is the making sure that you don't get any gas dripping on your tank. I've had it happen a couple times, and now I'm kind of careful. You know, probably if you get it on there, you know, a little bit, it's not going to make a difference. But you know, if you get a lot of it on there, it's, you know, not good for your paint and, you know, and your plastics and everything. So I'm very cognizant of that. I gotta, you know, shake it, you know, several times. You know, make sure that all the gas is out. I built a little shopping mall here or something. So to continue on, you know, when you're picking gear to ride, especially on a hot day or a cold day, sometimes it's a little tricky because depending on the type of riding you're going to be doing, you know, again, if you're going to be just riding around town, it's easier to get away with something that's not quite as heavy. Then when you're riding on the freeway, because when you're riding on the freeway, you get colder, a lot more wind. And you know, the opposite is true too. You know, when I ride on the freeway, like I'm going to ride on the freeway to go to work or something, then I know it's going to be a little bit cooler, so I have to dress a little heavier. But then when you actually, you know, get to some parts of town where, you know, you're at stoplights and you're, you know, not moving very fast, it gets kind of hot. So there's kind of a delicate balance there. You know, the other thing also, it will depend on the time of day that you're riding. You know, so for me, when I commute in the morning, you know, obviously it's much cooler than it is in the afternoon or early evening when I come back. So I got to think about that. You know, I got to dress appropriately for the cooler weather in the morning, but then I also need to, you know, figure out what I'm going to wear or how I'm going to adjust things for the hotter weather on the ride home. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of manufacturers of bike gear, you know, they make a lot of their gear kind of layerable. And you know what I mean by that is, you know, especially with the mesh gear, you know, you have like a thermal liner, and then you have like a secondary liner, or even like a waterproof liner. You know, that you can kind of zip in and out depending on you know, how hot it is, or you know, how comfortable you want to be. So it's very modular that way. And you know, typically I'll ride. Well, I used to earlier in the year. It's, you know, getting towards summer now, but you know, I used to have, you know, a mesh jacket with a waterproof liner and a thermal vest liner. To ride that in the morning, and then in the evening I would typically just take out the thermal vest liner, and then I would be, you know, fairly comfortable. Now that it's getting a lot hotter, I'm actually able to get away with riding in the morning just with a jacket without even the waterproof liner. And then sometimes I'll have to even change my shirt in the afternoon from a long sleeve shirt to a t-shirt, just so I get a little bit more airflow. And then I also just recently bought a leather jacket from somebody on Craigslist, and it's a summer jacket, so it's pretty nice. But I was a little bit worried about you know, how hot it was going to be riding it, because, you know, even though it's made for summer and it's vented and everything, it's, you know, still leather. You know, which obviously is going to be, you know, heavier than mesh. You know, the benefit, you know, obviously is that it's going to protect you better, but it's also, you know, just heavier. Alright, so, you know, that's my little diatribe about motorcycle gear as it pertains to choosing what to wear. You know, I usually ride with a backpack as well, so, you know, if I need to, if I'm not sure if I'm going to need the thermal vest or the liner or maybe some extra clothes, I can always throw it in my backpack. And then conversely, you know, if I'm wearing all that stuff and it gets too hot, then I can, you know, just take those layers off and you know, just put it in my backpack for the ride home. and be comfortable. So just things to think about when you're riding. You know, how you're going to dress appropriately. And you know, it's funny, you know, when you ride a motorcycle, you really, you know, you gotta plan. You gotta be a planner. I mean, you know, not only plan what type of gear you're gonna wear, but you know, you gotta be cognizant of the weather. You know, not only in the morning, but in the afternoon, or you know, all day, depending on when you're gonna ride. You know, that's why you see a lot of motorcyclists with backpacks, and the younger crowd, I guess. You know, you don't really see as many, or I would say as a higher percentage of the older Harley riders and cruiser riders. You know, a lot of times they won't have a backpack, but you know, even those people, you know, will have a tank bag, or you know, like a backseat bag, or they have saddle bags a lot of times, so they don't need a backpack. You know, they can just put everything in the saddle bag. So even those guys, you know, at the end of the day, do have to plan as well.